Hey guys, Tony here, and yep, I'm still here. It's been a while, and I'm back to show you some records. I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet, as short as I can. I'm only gonna show 20 records here, and I actually have a lot more, and I plan to do this longer video, I should say, a bigger video, but it's late, and I figured I would just keep this one short. I have enough for another video or two after this, so yeah. Anyway, hope everybody's well. I've been wanting to come on here and make a video for a while. It's just that, when I have the time, I don't always want to make a video, but I've been thinking more and more about getting on here more and just showing stuff from my collection, whether it be a record or two, and talking about them. But we'll see. I don't know if that'd be something you guys would be interested in watching or not, but we'll see. Anyway, so I got a lot of cool new stuff, and this is just a portion of it. Definitely has a couple Grails in here, though. So I'll just get started with that. And like I said, I'll try and keep this short. But yeah, this is an album I've wanted for a while, and getting it's not always easy to find, but it's been reissued. It was probably about due for one. And I have a couple other albums by this band, but glad they reissued this. Their debut, Beat Happening. So the sort of lo-fi, famous, lo-fi, indie rock, indie pop, sort of punk outfit on K Records. I mean, the infamous K Records. Calvin Johnson, of course, the mastermind behind this band and the label. Really, again, lo-fi stuff. I mean, the stuff is infectious in my opinion. If you're not familiar with it at first, you might be like, I want to say it's difficult to get into, but you may not like it at first. But it is very infectious, and I really like this group. So very cool that they reissued it. Happy to get that. Here's a classic that I've wanted for a while, believe it or not. I have another pressing of it. I think I might have two other pressings of it, but I've always wanted an original, and every time I come across it, it's either really beat or really expensive for some reason. I came across this for $6, and literally 2 or 3 days before, I saw a copy of it for sale for $50, and I go to another store and I pay $6. So I was really happy with that, and it's just the kind of thing I wanted for my collection. This band was really important to me, and as a kid, I've talked about it before. But The Doors with L.A. Woman, an original with the window, the original window cover. Their final album with Jim Morrison released. I mean, really their final album. And an album I played to death, long time ago. So, an original. So, very happy to get this finally. And another classic, really, that, again, I got for, I don't know, for $3 to $5, something like that. I bought a few sort of classic albums for in that price range. But the Who Sell Out, classic Who record that I did not have. And for the price, and it's original on the Decca label. Couldn't leave it there. Classic. It's sort of probably considered their psychedelic album, if you will. But great stuff. Happy to get it. This one, I gotta thank Chris, John Coltrane 68. He gave a heads up about some albums that were a seller on eBay that had albums that were, more obscure but still sealed and cheap. And this is the first one he recommended. Excuse me. This is Duo Infinity. So this is Jamel Shabaka and Alex Klein. So this is on the Atin label, which I'm not familiar with. But this is free jazz, improvisation, just a duo one playing horns and the other percussion, and that's them right there. I believe one of the members was in Sun Ra's orchestra, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Chris mentioned that. There's actually a song on here, Sun Ra's Service for the Masters. So it's a very free jazz album, but also very spiritual. and I really enjoyed it. So thank you, Chris. I thank you for that heads up. And it was still sealed, which is cool. And it has the insert. Obviously, I mean, it's still sealed. It has what it came with, but it has an insert with information on each player. Just a little pamphlet. So very cool to get that, and I really enjoyed this. So is this? I don't know, Chris. If you watch this, is this a privately pressed thing, or is Atten a fairly well-known label? But yeah, happy to get it. So thank you. Here's a jazz funk classic. Can't go wrong with this. David Axelrod with Heavy Axe. I'm really happy to get this album. It's phenomenal. Again, just a classic. A lot of great players on this. A big band, you know. And yeah, just David Axelrod, just the man. So, classic jazz funk. Now we go from that to The Knife with Deep Cuts. Fantastic record. My goodness. 2 LPs. A really beautiful set. It's a reissue. This originally came out, I want to say, in what year did this come out? I don't know. Early 2000s? I couldn't really tell you, honestly. I mean, I think I liked the album that came after this a bit more. Silent Shout, is it? But yeah, killer. Absolutely killer. Swedish duo, synth pop, electronic. Killer stuff. Really happy to get that one. Here's another one that's I didn't know anything about, honestly, and my local record store got it in, and I was sort of digging in the front of the store, and the owner just kind of showed it to me. He was like, you know, are you interested in this? And I looked at it, and I said, I'll take a chance, you know. But it turns out it's an excellent jazz, sort of Latin flavored jazz. I guess is the best way I could put it. And this album just smokes. It is killer. Ray Barretto with The Other Road. Fantastic. Love that cover too. I mean, but yeah, really good. Just Latin flavored jazz, the best way I could put it. The only other player I think I know of, besides Ray Barretto, I mean, there might be a couple, but Billy Cobham plays on it. This is on the Fana label, if that's how you say that, I guess. Fana? Is that how you say that? Anyway, killer stuff, and really nice to get this record. It's really enjoyable. I've listened to it a number of times, so yeah, there you go. And there's the gatefold. I'm sorry, it's late, so I'm kind of a little bit loopy. I think I already did show that. Here's a free jazz, I guess a free jazz classic, if you will. For those of you who are familiar with Peter Brötzmann and his album Machine Gun, along those same lines, Balls, killer free jazz, very free music. There are some quieter passages in it, in between these sort of, you know, loud bursts of free jazz, really. I mean, just really good, though. Really happy to get this one. Anything with Brötzmann's name on it, really, it's just, I have something else to show by him in another video, but Balls, killer. This is from 1970, from Germany. Happy to get that. Fred just showed this one. I told him I got it, and it's killer. Erkin Koray, Turkish guitarist, and this is his debut, Electronic Turkular. And what year is this? 1974. So think of sort of psychedelic rock mixed with traditional Turkish music, that sort of thing. Fantastic record, really is. I do highly recommend this. There was a compilation put out of his work, and I passed on it a number of times, and I stopped really seeing it. I mean, I'm sure I could, if I searched hard enough, I'd be able to get it, but I stopped seeing it, and I kind of regretted it. And then they reissued this, and I believe the album that came out after this, so very happy to get this. Turkish psych, you know. A few more things. It's so weird doing such a video with so few records. and I have a ton more. So, but I've wanted this record for a long time, in any capacity. I mean, on vinyl. So happy. I saw it in the store. I got together with Mike, Bostonian Reggie, and we went record shopping. I saw this in the store, and I looked for reissues of this and just could not find it. I don't know how recent of a reissue this is, but yeah, so happy to get this. This is the Tropicalia album. I don't want to try and pronounce that title right now, but so it's sort of all of the major players in the Tropicalia movement are involved in this record, and they're on the cover. I believe the cover is supposed to be like a play on Sgt. Pepper, if you will. So they're all right there, and they all contribute to this album. So you have Gilberto Gil, Caetano Veloso, Gail Costa, Tom Z, Os Mutantes. I mean, they're all on here, and it's a fantastic record. It really is. This is the Lilith reissue. So Lilith, I believe, are a Russian label, but still, it sounds fantastic and it's really well done. So just really happy to get this. I mean, I've been so into Tropicalia lately, but Bat Mukamba, Gilberto Gil's version on here, it's fantastic. And there's a track by Os Mutantes that is just mind blowing. Which one is it? I can't pick it out at the moment, but so happy to get this. And for those of you into Brazilian or Tropicalia, this is like 1968. I mean, it's like the Tropicalia manifesto, if you will, just killer. So happy to get this. This one was recommended to me by Chris 4127 Basket. I had showed this record, the Larry Young record, which is phenomenal. Lawrence of Newark, in love with that record. And he recommended this to me, which I was unaware of. I think I'd seen the cover before, but I couldn't really tell you. And he recommended this to me, and I bought it used. And so thank you so much, Chris. This is, again, amazing sort of free jazz fusion, like psychedelic free jazz is the best way I could put it. But this is Love, Cry, Woth with Larry Young, Joe Galvin, and Nicholas, and I believe, and another guy, I'm sorry, Jimmy Molinari, and I believe those guys too were like early, worked with a lot of the early electronic stuff, and trained under the guys that invented the stuff, But anyway, this music is phenomenal, and it's all live, from what I understand. These performances, if you see that picture, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It's the White House. So the story is they were playing, this music was being played at a gig in 1972 while Nixon was in the White House, and I guess there was something went on with there. They were playing so loud, and they were like trying to levitate the White House or something crazy like that. I read the story when I first got it, but Love, Cry, Woth, fantastic. Great organ playing, just really free and psychedelic at the same time. Fantastic. And this is on the Weird Forest label. So there you go. So thank you for recommending this, Chris. This is phenomenal. It really is. This one too, I bought this used. Again, world music, but I mean, it's pop and psych. It's Iranian pop and psych, really. So this is Pomegranates. This is killer. This was really, really good. 2 LP set on Finders Keepers. A compilation of some of the best Iranian psych and pop, folk of the 60s and 70s. Pomegranates. Fantastic. I think I remember Fred showing this from a while back. This came into my local store used, and I jumped on it. Killer. Anything on Finders Keepers is just phenomenal. So this is a really cool record. For those of you into library records, library grooves, this is really, really good. Studio G, so the British studio that produced a lot of library music. This is sort of a compilation of things from that label, if you will. The spacey folk electro horror sounds of Studio G Library. And that title just sounds just like it. I mean, it's really interesting stuff, very psychedelic at times, spacey, just fantastic. Studio G was founded by John Gale in the UK, and this is a lot of the artists that are on it. Talking about it will never do it justice, but I highly recommend checking this out. On the trunk label. Again, I bought this used. I think this was kind of limited when it came out, but it is killer. Yeah, Studio G, library, funk, psych, just killer stuff. Highly recommend it. Alright, a couple Grails here. Well, yeah, definitely. These qualify as Grails in my opinion. Marion Brown with Geechee Recollections. Yeah, Geechee Recollections on Impulse. Promo copy. Fantastic record. I love Marion Brown. I really do. This guy just can do no wrong from everything I've heard by him. And this is part of like a trio of records, if you will, that sort of have the same theme, where he's exploring his growing up in Georgia, and a lot of the sounds are, represent his memory of that. And but this also pays like homage to a poet. Who's the poet? I forget the guy's name at the moment. There's actually some spoken word on here, but it is a fantastic sort of. There's a lot of things going on it. Some parts of it are really sort of ambient. I mean, he's so good at creating these interesting soundscapes. At the same time, you could tell it's very free and improvisation. Just killer. Geechee Recollections on Impulse. Really happy to get this album. And this one too, man, this album is phenomenal. And I gotta thank Fred, and I gotta thank Dave Fatback Funk for talking about this, because this was not on my radar. And this is like a must-have jazz album, in my opinion. A lot of class in this album, and just fantastic playing. Billy Harper with Black Saint. Wow, what a record. Black Saint label, Italian jazz label. But this album just kills. I've listened to this numerous times already, and just killer stuff. I probably had it like going on 2 weeks now, but killer. Billy Harper, Black Saint, fantastic. Last couple, yeah, all German really. Last four German Grails. I'll start with this one. This is technically American. This band was from Brooklyn, but they moved to Germany, and it was produced by Connie Plank, so I would say it's German enough. But this has been talked about a couple times recently in the vinyl community, and I picked it up prior to people talking about it again. But Sweet Smoke, Just a Poke, and from what I could tell, this is an original copy of this. I believe the first pressings had the photograph on the back, if I'm not mistaken, and later pressings didn't. If I think that's what it is. But what's interesting about it is a German press on the Columbia, EMI Columbia. Oh, you can't see it. EMI Columbia label there, and it is a German pressing. But they put a sticker over the EMI Columbia for Odeon, so this might have been like an import. They pressed it and shipped them out as an import on Odeon, and that's a sticker over it. If you can see that. But yeah, what an album! I would say this is more. Some people say it's like a fusion album. I'd say it's a sort of a psych rock album with some jazz leanings on it. Very jammy. I mean, at one point, each side is one track, and it's killer, just killer. At one point, they bust into like the Soft Parade by the Doors, just out of nowhere, and it's just killer. But yeah, Sweet Smoke, Just a Poke. Look at that cover. Love that, huh? So yeah, so happy to get that. Might have overpaid slightly for this, but it's an original, I'm pretty sure, and it's in beautiful shape. So here's another one I've been after for a while for the Krautrock collection. and it's not an original. Originals of this are kind of crazy, and it's probably not even official, but I don't think there can be an official reissue of this. I believe the master tapes of it are gone, like destroyed or missing. But this is Organization Tone Float. I've wanted this record for a while. So this is the a lot of members of Krautrock before they became Krautrock, and it's much more of, it's not really electronic, but I think besides organs, if I'm not mistaken, but much more, it's acoustic. There's a lot of interesting instruments being played, and it's very psychedelic, very sort of world music at times, and it's awesome. The first side, it's only one track, Tone Float, and it starts out very subtle and just builds, and it's phenomenal. The second side too, there's 4 tracks, and I love them all. I love this album. Organization, Tone Float, Ralph Hutter, who was in Krautrock, of course, and I believe Florian Schneider was the other. Excellent stuff. Highly recommend this for those of you into Krautrock. Killer. What else we got here? Here's another Grail of mine, and again, it's not an original, but any pressings by this band is just like, you know, a Grail in my opinion. I probably should have learned how to pronounce the title. Shieling Sprung? I have no idea. I'm sure I just slaughtered it. Popol Vuh. What a fantastic record. Now, I believe this is their 4th album, if I'm not mistaken, and it's killer. It's much more traditional than the album prior, I should say. They're not traditional, but they're much more elements that are more easily recognizable than the album that came before it. And I'm sorry, I'm really sort of shot at the moment, but this is fantastic. I'll leave it at that. Popol Vuh, Florian Frick, just phenomenal. Really happy to get this. Anytime I could get an album by Popol Vuh, it's just a good day, you know? Anyway, one more, and it is an absolute grail. Not easy to get. Certainly not cheap, but sorry, if I could just get this back in the sleeve. Thank you for dealing with me. It's 2 a.m. at the moment, so anyway, this album is awesome. I think the album that came after it and the 2 albums that preceded it might be a little bit better. I'm not sure. I know the album that came after it is better. I definitely prefer it, but this is still amazing. There are a couple tracks on it that are much more sort of normal, if you will, like regular sort of rock tracks. But other than that, there's a lot more experimentation going on this. It's fantastic. This is Eichel Reichel with AR3, an original on Zebra Records. I have AR4, an original on Zebra Records as well, so it's really nice to have this to go along with that. Fantastic German Krautrock. Let me show you the label. And like, I got it from the same seller as I got AR4, and like that one, this thing is like in near mint shape. There's the Zebra label, and yeah, fantastic record. AR3, fantastic. So there you go, guys. Those are my finds. Again, pardon me if I'm loopy here. I felt myself getting more tired as the video went on. Anyway, leave me comments. Thanks for watching. Still 24 minutes. God.